Let's talk about the city's fertilizer ordinance. Now that we're in the summer months and the rain has started, many of our lawns are green. But the city of Northport has a fertilizer ordinance in place to protect our water, our environment, and still make sure our lawns stay beautiful. Here is Stormwater Manager Elizabeth Wong to tell you about this ordinance.
We in the city of Northport want to protect our waterways from pollution and from excessive fertilizing. It causes unnecessary overgrowth of aquatic plants that can clog up our waterways and degrade our water quality, which is also our drinking water supply. Our waterways comprise of the Mayakachi Creek, and then interconnected with it are all our canals. We have 79 miles of wet canals and hundreds of the dry ditches that leads to the wet canals. So when the rain falls, if you have too much fertilizer and the nitrogen phosphorus from the fertilizer, the excessive parts of it not used up by the plant gets washed into our waterways. It can pollute our waterways and cause undesirable effects. I want to show you a couple things to look for when Northport residents go to store to buy fertilizers. The three numbers on top. First number represents nitrogen, second one is phosphorus, and the third one is potassium. Nitrogen and phosphorus is what we're regulating. So when you're looking for the right bag of fertilizer to buy, look for the content for slow release nitrogen. In our ordinance, we're required to only use 50% or more slow release nitrogen. And I can explain that. Slow release nitrogen means it doesn't totally soluble all at once. It releases it very slowly so that the plants can uptake it. In this bag, it says 14%. 14 is more than half of 20. So this meets the 50% criteria. And this other bag I have here, we use during our rainy season to add a little bit more potassium to our plants. And that helps with the plants' roots and flowering system. So we can use this bag during the rainy season. We're not allowed to apply any nitrogen or phosphorus during the rainy season. Plants need a certain amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, minerals, potassium. But if you put too much on them, it can burn up the plants, they'll die. And if you put too much on it, you're just wasting money, and you're also polluting the environment because the excess will be running off with the rains. Another part of the fertilizer ordinance addresses where you cannot fertilize. You shouldn't fertilize closer than 10 feet from a ditch or canal or the topper bank. Topper bank is where the slope levels off. That's a topper bank. Okay, don't fertilize on the slope part because that's bigger, more chance of the excess fertilizer running right off and the water's right there. If the nitrogen or phosphorus gets into our waterway, it's very difficult to take it out of the water. You can't just filter it out. It's soluble. And there are many other municipalities in Florida who have adopted very similar ordinances. And this is because not just one entity discharges into our estuaries and bays and the Gulf. All of us eventually discharge to the same location. So it's good that we have all our neighboring communities joining in forces to help protect our water resources.